pullers. Here is the pole climbing event, and with me is Jeremy Barrell, tree consultant from Ringwood and pole climber extraordinaire.
That's right. Good evening, Debbie.
Good evening. Well, beside us is this enormous 90-foot pole, actually 110 feet when it arrived here. It's Douglas fir and was sunk firmly into the ground, arrived here on a low loader right through the New Forest, homegrown in the New Forest indeed. Now, we're also going to have a look now at the qualifying round, which took place this afternoon. Jeremy, you won this. Here is the event.
That's right. You can see me going up now.
Very close run thing. Here it is again in slow motion.
Right,
just talk us through what's happened.
One of the problems with the poles is slipping, and you just see Johnny Front from Denmark there slip twice. I had a slow patch there as well. You need to get a good grip with your spikes, every single one, and you lose one slip and you've lost the championship, really. So you need to be very fast, very strong. This is where you get tired towards the top. It's about 60, 70 feet now. You've got the last 15 feet to go. You really need to dig deep, and there it is, bang, just beaten.
It was very close, wasn't it?
Very close.
Were you certain that you'd won?
Well, I knew I'd won. I looked over and I could see I was just above him, so you really need to. But it's very close. The Danes are so good at this, and this is a wonderful competition.
Now, what do you wear for this event?
You have to have a number of safety items. Basically, the gloves, first of all. We have a lot of spikes on the pole, the splinters, and they really do damage your hands if you get splinters in them. And we have a safety line attached to a harness, which we wear around our waist. And so if you do slip, like I slipped there, and the Danes slipped as well, then you're safe.
And good firm boots. Do you think you might demonstrate for us what you do? Just show us how you clamber up and just how difficult it is. I'll follow you, don't worry.
Right. First of all, we clip on the... we have a pole strap which we put around the pole, so that if we do fall, we're not going to fall too far outwards. And also the safety line, which clips onto your harness, like that. Lock the carabiner, so we're not going to fall out. And then, basically, we have a man on the ground here, on the other end of the rope. Pull the rope up, Pete, please. And he pulls it tight so that if I dig my spikes in, and then basically we start, I go up, and we go off as quickly as possible, like this. Whoops, and a slip already.
How do you practice for this, Jeremy? Because you can't have a 90-foot pole in your back garden. What do you do?
That's quite right. And the Forest Division aren't very happy about you doing this to their trees. No. So, no, we... the main thing you need for this event is endurance. You need strength and durability and stamina. And so aerobics 5 times a week is the way I practice.
Where did the sport actually come from?
Originally, well, in fact, it originated in America. Just after the war, the Americans started the World Championships, and they hold it there now. And we're here at New Forest Show with the European Championships, which started 4 years ago.
The spectators loved it today. Is it a sport that's catching on?
I think so. It's going... The Royal Welsh have had it at their show this year, and hopefully we'll have a Scottish Championship next year, so it's excellent.
And danger-wise, you really can assure me that that harness never lets you go.
Well, I haven't hurt myself yet, and it's pretty hairy up there when you get to the top. It's 80 feet up, and you need to be sure you're safe.
Well, as you say, you've beaten the Danes, your closest rivals.
That's
You're
right.
in a pretty good position for the European Championships tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the Championships. We have the French here as well. We have wonderful sponsors with Stena Sealing. They really look after us and get the French and the Danes over here, and it makes it a truly European competition. So hopefully we're going to beat them, but it's going to be very close. That was close today.
Jeremy Barrell from Ringwood, thank you very much
Thanks
indeed, and good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, I have to say, it's not a sport that I'd fancy my chances at, and I don't think Penny Sylvester would either somehow. Penny joins us live with the sport now. What do you reckon, Pen?
Well, I'm not sure about the head for heights, but even more so, I don't actually fancy the 5 days' work of aerobics, to be honest.
Neither.
But in fact, you need probably a head for heights for our next event, judging by the size of the show jumping fences. The World Championships take place in Holland next week, and some of the riders who've been taking part here today are actually going to be competing there. The event they've been taking part in, the Everest International Team Trial, as Nick Halling reports.
It's one of the highlights of the show jumping programme. The Everest International Team Trial attracted most of the sport's top riders and featured up-and-coming animals, a chance for future international standard horses to show their worth. But the course took its toll. None of the 24 entries were able to safely negotiate the fences. Top rider Nick Skelton was the first to go. A refusal at the water led to an early retirement. John Whittaker came closest to a clear round. He had the second last down, his only blemish. And Marie Edgar needed to sit tight as her mount made mincemeat of an obstacle. Even David Broome, talent spotting on behalf of the British Show Jumping Association, admitted it was a daunting test.
Maybe we got it a little bit difficult today, I don't know, but a lot of horses were disappointing. But having said that, there was a couple of good winners. I was very pleased with 2 or 3 that were in the lineup at the end. New faces coming through, always good for the sport, I think.
Disappointment for many riders, but the New Forest Show remains a popular venue for show jumpers.
I really like this show. I mean, the committee that run the show do a very good job with the ground, which is very important. With it being such a hard and hot summer, they've watered the ground, which is, you know, very good for us, and really appreciate it.
The eventual winner wasn't one of the sport's better-known names. Instead, Wolverhampton's Jeff Glazard took the honours as his horse, It's the Business, did the business. A winning debut on unfamiliar territory.
This is my first time I've actually ever ridden here. I've enjoyed it very, very much. The ground's excellent. I think the ground would have been excellent even without the rain yesterday. I think they've been watering and looking after it. They seem to look after us very well.
Nick Halling at the New Forest Show for Meridian Tonight.
Well, joining me now is the current world #1, Michael Whitaker. Thank you for being with us. How did you get on today?
No, not fantastic. I was second in a smaller class, but I had 3 fences down in the team challenge. But I mean, the course was very big, and my horse is a young horse. But that's the idea behind the competition. It's a team selection thing, and you have to find the best young horses coming up.
As we heard there, that a lot of people are finding it a tough course. Why do they put these raw young horses up against such big fences here?
Yeah, that's the idea behind the competition. It's to find younger horses coming up that can go abroad and jump in the big nations cups, you know. And you have to build a tough course, which today was quite tough, but it was fair. You know, there was no accidents or anything. I think the course was very good.
You've seen, as we saw in that report, that actually it's quite a popular event down here at the New Forest Show.
Yeah, it is a very, very nice show. The going's really, really good. They do a very good job with the ground. The organisation is very good. It's very relaxed. You know, there's no problems. They're very, like the riders always feel very welcome and everything. It's a very good show.
You obviously enjoy coming down.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. It's worth the drive.
Looking ahead to Holland next week, how are we going to fare over there?
Well, I'm quite optimistic about the team. You know, we have a good team. All the horses seem to be on form. We just need a bit of luck on the day, really.
Most of the riders were here today, weren't they?
Yeah. Kelly's at home, but she's only really got the one good horse, so she's resting. But John and Nick and I was here, and my horse jumped very good here. So I mean, I'm quite optimistic.
Michael, good luck next week. We hope everything goes well for you. We're actually going to stay with horses at the moment, racing horses, in fact, because it is the second.
But the final word to Debbie, having a great time down at the New Forest Show.
Thank you, Andy. Well, it's been a very successful day, and it's not over yet. The third and final day is tomorrow, when the heavy horses take centre stage, not to mention the rare breeds of cattle and sheep. We leave you tonight with highlights of today's events from New Park, Brockenhurst.
So, the opening day of the New Forest Show, and how significant this should also be a very historical day for the New Forest. With me now is Roger Brake, who's recreational manager for the Forest. Roger, what's happened today?
We've signed a major new agreement today with the verderers, who represent the commoners' interests, English Nature, who represent conservation, and ourselves, the Forestry Commission, to work together to jointly look after the forest for the future.
No squabbling?
Well, we hope not. We've had our disagreements in the past, but we all recognise that if we work together, we work towards a common goal, then we'll achieve much more than we will do working separately.
And it will protect this wonderful New Forest.
That's what it's all about. That's what we want.
Good luck to you in that. Well, now, of course, there are axemen here, there are pole climbers here. I'd like you now to meet a man who combines the best of both worlds. Here he is, Roy Cox, and you make the most wonderful things in wood with a chainsaw. How long have you been doing that?
Oh, I would think since about 1976.
Really?
Yes, on and off.
And your pièce de résistance, if I can put it that way, is this magnificent totem pole behind you.
Yes, that's right, yes.
I mean, how did you make that? How long did it take?
It took approximately just over 2 weeks for the actual carving of it with the chainsaw.
Quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
And you've sold one of those totem poles?
Yes, we sold one to a couple in Windsor recently.
Could one ask how much they paid for it? I mean, how much does a totem pole cost, roughly?
I don't really know. You'd have to ask the Forestry Commission that.
Well, it's wonderful. And today, your long service in the forest has been recognised, has it not? Tell us about an award you've won.
Yes, I've just received the Heathcote Award for long service for the Forestry Commission.
And it's well-deserved, too.
Right, thank you.
Can you just show us, on this owl you're creating here, a little bit of chainsaw work? Just 10 or 15 seconds to get some idea of your artistry. Off you go, Roy, go on. I'll stand well back. The safety precautions obviously vital. Absolutely brilliant, and that is going to be another masterpiece which you can buy if you want to. Come along to the New Forest show. Anyway, on to things slightly more quiet now, into the arena, Richard Jones and some friends.
Thanks, Fred, and yes, meet two of the biggest stars of the show, Prince and Duke. Dray horses are one of the many traditions maintained here. Jim and Jenny Beck, you look after these two. Jenny, tell me a bit about these two.
I think these are Duke and Prince. They're dray horses, and they are age 8.
Jim, why are they still so popular in 1995?
Well, I think it's the size and it's our heritage, isn't it, really? What is it better looking than this pair of horses?
Jenny, do they enjoy this? Do they enjoy showing off?
Oh yes, I think so. They are very attracted to the people and everything else. They do enjoy it, yes.
Is there a competition element to showing dray horses?
Yes, there is. We do a single class and a pair class, which is a single with 1 horse, and a pair class with 2 horses, which is at the show tomorrow and the next day.
Right. Jim, tell me, how long have these two been pulling drays?
About 4 years.
And who do you pull your dray for?
For Ringwood Brewery.
Okay. Jenny, how long will this tradition survive? How long will you go on with these two?
Well, hopefully as long as we can, while there are people interested and we can still get young people interested, they will go on as long as possible.
Great, thank you very much indeed. I think somebody else is just coming over to see these two.
I'd love to meet Prince and Duke. The hat isn't going to put them off, I hope, is it? No. Are you sure?
I'll be all right.
He's not too sure. Well, the sun has also shone on another great horsey event in the south today. The first day, of course, of glorious good.
Well, from birdmen to burned men, and I think poor Fred and Carl are probably well basted down at the New Forest show today. What can I say but, phew, what a scorcher.
You did say basted, Jane, didn't you?
I did.
Yes, I'm sure you did. It has been glorious.
Beautiful, Fred.
You've made a new friend, haven't you?
Isn't he beautiful?
Yes.
Now, who do you think's best looking?
I think he is, to be quite honest.
I think he's got us beat, both of us.
Now, this weather, extraordinary, and the big question is, of course, for the organisers of this magnificent New Forest show, will it last, Maestro? And I suspect the answer might be no, but you tell us.
I think they've had the best day today, Fred. Right. So, yes, it's certainly been the best day today. He's beautiful, isn't he, eh? Hey, you got a kiss? Oh, he's absolutely gorgeous. But yes, we've had the best day today. We've seen temperatures in the mid-80s, but there is a change coming in over the next couple of days. We can have some showers moving in. I think the heaviest those we'll see tomorrow, and there'll be more on Thursday. But by the time we get to the weekend, then perhaps the weather's starting to settle down.
That's it from me in the studio. For the final word, back to the New Forest show and Fred.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Jane. We've had a lovely day. If you can get to the New Forest show, I urge you to do so, because it really is quite a magnificent event. I don't know what the weather is going to do, but I mean, the Maestro must be right, but try and get along. He's up there, Richard's on as well. I'm going to join Prince and Duke if I can just get this wire off me and go for a nice little ride. From us all, good night. Off you go, chap.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just get ready first.
At the New Forest Showground near
You ready?
Brockenhurst. It's a long way up.
It's important to get a good start as you go up, no slips. And my spikes are new, so that's why I'm slipping. Concentrate on going straight up. Start to get tired now, thinking you must be close to the top, but you look up and it's still a long way to go. And bang, I'm there. Not very long, probably about 15 seconds, I expect. And this is when you start to feel really bad. Lots of heavy breathing. Not the time to make a phone call.
How did you get into pole climbing?
Well, I've always climbed trees. Lived in the forest. My father was a gamekeeper, and I started climbing trees when I was about 4. So, but they had branches on them. We progressed to the non-branch type of pole about 5 years ago.
Is it as hard as it looks?
Oh, it's harder. I think the only way to find out is to have a go. So I think you want to get that suit off, and I'll get some gear on you, and we'll see what you feel like.
Well, I've done it. I've got the lumberjack shirt, the jeans, the boots with the spikes in, the proper gloves. As for the pole climbing, I'll leave that to the professionals.
Join me, Jane Wyatt, live at the New Forest Show and sample some of the delights of this great country tradition. Hello and welcome to you from the New Forest Show at Brockenhurst. We've been having a fabulous day here today. The weather's been just right and it's attracted a great crowd to this, the first day of the show. There's so much to see here, the traditional country crafts, all the animals of course, and spectacular displays of all kinds. Later on we'll be bringing you a taste of some of the things on offer. I'll even be trying my hand at sheep shearing. But first it's back to the studio for the news with Fred.
Right, now off to the show. There you are, the New Forest Show. It's day one, and if the weather holds, the organisers can expect record crowds this year. Well, down there with them is Jane, and they call it work, and we can join her now. Jane, having a good time?
Don't you wish you were here, Fred? Welcome back to the show anyway. You'll be able to have a good laugh at my expense in a couple of minutes because I'm going to try my hand at sheep shearing. And we've a bit of a surprise lined up for Richard Jones as well. But first, Mary Green has been taking a look around and she's been sampling some of the atmosphere of the show.
It's a mixture of the traditional and the commercial, an agricultural show and a trade show with enough of each to keep anyone happy. The gates opened at 8 this morning, but for many of the participants, the work started long before that.
It takes me about half an hour to plait him, and I suppose about half an hour for the eye makeup and all the show sheening and the hooves and things like that.
So what time did you start this morning?
We left at 1 o'clock in the morning.
The competitions and parades taking place all day in the main arenas are qualifiers for other prestigious shows, so competitors come here from around the country. Behind the scenes, it takes endless preparation. Standards are high and competition is fierce.
But we love showing, we love bringing the animals out and taking them all. We do about 9 shows a year, you know, and
this is one of the chosen ones.
This is one of the favourites here, so we like it very much.
The countryside scene is, of course, at the heart of the show. Here you can brush up on your crafts with a new slant. This wool is made of recycled plastic containers. It's a chance to sample rural fare, to drink in the atmosphere, to get a taste of the south.
Well, I would say for myself a clover honey, a white clover with a tinge of lime in it would be my creme de la creme.
Moonlight music, love romance. Moonlight music, love romance. Moonlight music, love romance. Let's dance romance.
There's something for everyone. Fancy a flutter? Fancy a ferret? This year's winner of the New Forest Ferret Derby, Susie.
Music, I love and romance. Moonlight music, love romance. Let's face up music and dance.
I like all the heavy horses and I just like the craft shows. It's just a fun day out. It's a good day out, isn't it?
Yes, it's a great day, yes.
And what's more, it doesn't finish until Thursday.
Well, this is the moment Fred, I know, has been waiting for. I'm about to learn how to shear a sheep. And to help me is Nigel Cooper from Sparshott College.
Hi.
I'm really nervous about this. Probably the sheep is even more worried than me, though.
It's been to the shape down there, so it's looking quite nervous, yes. Its eyes are beginning to bulge.
How difficult is it to shear a sheep properly?
Well, it's a skill which requires a lot of practice, really, in some ways. We teach the basic at Sparshott for the agricultural students. It's basically we teach it they can actually learn how to control a sheep and actually control the animal. To do it properly, then it takes quite a lot of hard work, a lot of concentration, a lot of skill, a lot of manual skills, but always thinking. Sheep are not stupid by any means of imagination. And so it does take...
They know what's going on.
They do know what's going on, yes.
If you're a really good shearer, how many sheep can you do in an hour?
Well, in an hour, it's better to say in an hour. It depends on the sort of type of sheep, and in a day, 300 to 400. You've got to do that.
One man?
One man, yes, one man. But
or
to
one
do
girl
that,
even.
or one girl even,
yes.
to actually do that, to actually make any money, so you've got to...
All right, well, let's see how I get on. I don't think it's going to be a 300 an hour for me. Tim here is going to show me how to do it.
Yes, he is. So pass on to Tim.
So, what do I have to do here, Tim?
Well, if you put your left foot under the shoulder,
right,
and put your right leg in between the sheep's back legs, I think we're ready to go on a series of blows.
I'm sure this is hurting me more than you, my dear.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
If we run from here up to the front leg, if you put your left hand over this front leg here, and your first shearing blows.
Whoa! There it goes.
There we have it.
Oh, look at that.
Now if you just keep shearing to a pattern, up to the backbone.
Right.
That's right.
You just don't want to
Keep
take it into it. Right.
Tips up. Keep the handpiece up. Tips up on the skin. There we go.
Excellent.
How's that feeling?
Not too bad.
I think I could be here all day though. So I know another man who's in a bit of a similar position to this in a moment, Richard Jones. He's going to have his legs up in the air in a moment. So back to the main arena now, and Richard.
Look at your
Yes, Jane, I'm flat on my back, and that's not because I've been in the beer tent all day. There are some other people here, and Captain David Mason from the Flying Gunners, the Royal Artillery motorcycle display team. David, I think it's going to become horribly obvious very soon why we're here. But first, you're here throughout the show. Spectacular displays. I mean, it's all about split-second timing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It involves a lot of training to get the riders to this sort of standard. We spend about 2 months a year practicing for the shows, and then spend about 5 to 6 months of the year out on the road.
And no margin for error at all?
None whatsoever. They have about half a second to a couple of seconds to make decisions if something goes wrong or to pull out.
So what sort of training do these guys get?
We initially select them on a week-long selection to make sure they're the right calibre, and then another week's worth of basic training, and then 4 to 6 weeks actually putting the show together.
OK, well, there was one part of your display which we didn't see as part of this afternoon's display. I mean, what was that, and what was that called?
This is called the body jump. We put it in when we can't actually do a car jump because of wind speeds, and this is what you see here now. Basically, we line about 12 men down on the ground and jump a bike over them.
OK, and how dangerous is this?
It's fairly safe.
OK, I feel pretty safe exactly where I am. I mean, this is nice and safe away from the motorbike, away from the end.
I'm going to put you somewhere else.
Well, it looked nice and safe from down there, but perhaps from here, it's a different matter. And I don't know what I'm lying in. David, what's the best advice?
Well, to lie down and pray.
OK, I mean, these guys good?
Very good.
You haven't got a novice who's doing this for the first time or anything like that?
No, he's a very experienced rider.
Very experienced. OK, so lie back and close your eyes or keep them open?
Keep them open.
Keep
You'll
them
enjoy the flight.
OK, all right. I'm ready. OK, listening for that motorbike. Here it comes, and the eyes are open. Well, that felt pretty close to me. I hope there's not another one on the way. From the New Forest show, for the moment, from a very relieved Richard Jones, back to Fred in the studio.
Thank you, Richard. And the best advice, of course, is don't do it. Welcome back to you. Still to come, the sport, the weather, but first back to the New Forest show live, where Jane's in a bit of a flap. No change there then, Jane?
You're dead right. First of all, a close shave with a sheep, and now a close encounter with a bird of prey. Meet, what's his name? Chris Tuffrey? Chris Tuffrey from the Cotswold Falconry Centre, but what's your bird's name? Sorry.
Her name's Kerr, and unfortunately I'm not from the Cotswold Falconry Centre. I used to be there many, many years ago.
Well, that's a good start, isn't it?
Well, I'm
Let's
sorry.
get over that. Great research
Yeah.
there. Kerr, what is she exactly?
She's a 9-year-old Harris hawk. She's a female. We've had her from when she was about 4 months old. And she's been with me all that time.
How old? You say she's a few months old.
She's 9 years old now.
9 years old. So you've had her since birth, have you?
No, from 4 months old.
Right,
she was
yeah.
bred in Gloucestershire, and I had her when she was...
what would she hunt in the wild?
In the wild, they hunt a various quarry. They will hunt lizards, spiders, jackrabbits, anything up to the size of a jackrabbit, small birds, anything like that.
Well, let's see her in flight then. You're going to send her off, hopefully
up into the
up
tree
across
there,
the showground to the tree.
Go on.
There she goes. Superb.
This is the way that she would normally sit in the wild. She would sit high in a tree and look for her food to come to her, and hopefully
she's going to come back.
Yeah.
The best laid plans. Yes.
No, it's never ever the best played plans, because she is a very, very well trained bird.
Straight over the cameraman's head. Very nice
like
too.
so.
Now, what's it like for her? Because she goes all around the country to all these shows. You know, it's not exactly a natural existence, is it?
It's not in a way, but we take the birds around to educate people, and then we have to look at the birds we take. And the Harris hawk, of all the hawks and buzzards that there are, is the most suitable, because it's a gregarious bird, it's a flock bird. So being amongst people, it looks around and thinks it's amongst its own kind. So it's very easy going. It doesn't, it's not as
it's not as stressful as perhaps the other birds might be. So it's suitable. This bird has literally flown virtually all over Europe. We spent a lot of time in Germany, Austria, Belgium, Holland with her, apart from doing the show circuit here as well.
And what other birds do you have?
We've got here at the New Forest, we've got a hybrid golden eagle steppe eagle, a tawny eagle, which we flew in the demonstration here today. We've got 4 falcons with us, a Saker, hybrid peregrine, I can never remember them, lugger falcon,
You've got so many
Lana,
of them,
yeah.
so many.
We've got
well,
8
all of
with us
them are
today.
on show at the New Forest
Yes,
show over
they
the
are.
next couple of days, so people
Yeah.
can come along and see them then.
They are,
Thank you
yes.
very much indeed, Chris.
Okay.
Now, Fred, back to the studio.
OK, Jane, thank you. Back with you a little bit later on, but now sport. And in sport, no one flying any higher, of course, than Roger Black. With the details, thank you, Gareth, very much indeed. Well, let's go back once again, shall we, to the New Forest show live. And Jane, I must say, Jane, very impressed with the sheep shearing a little bit earlier. Couldn't manage me a short haircut tomorrow, could you?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Fred, because I have got a little present for you, which I'll bring in tomorrow.
Really?
It's going to be very handy when the weather turns cold.
Can you give me any
And in
clues?
fact, well, it's something to do with the sheep. I'll leave you to guess the rest.
Oh, thanks a
Now,
lot.
you're very keen to know what the weather's going to be doing tomorrow, aren't you, Fred? Because you're down in Bournemouth at your sandcastle competition.
That's right.
And the man who has all the gen is Carly. He's gone up in the world a bit. He's on a 1914 motorised dray with plenty of beer to keep him going as well. Here he is.
Absolutely full, Jen.
Takes you back to your childhood, I think.
Oh, I go back further than that. There's no horses on the front.
Well, you know the old man back in the studio, he needs to know about the weather tomorrow. He's got a sandcastle competition or something.
Is he
like that.
really?
Yeah.
Well, I did promise him some thunderstorms, but I'm not going to. How about a nice bit of drizzle in the morning, just to keep him happy?
Lovely, yes.
That'll do him quite nicely?
I think it should do.
But the weather here tonight, it's been an absolutely beautiful day. We've had cloud, but there's been no rain yet. But there is some rain coming along for tonight. But as far as the New Forest show is concerned, it's not going to bother them because I think a few spots of drizzle tomorrow and then it's looking pretty good. And the weather's looking good and dry now, right into the weekend.
That's it from us. Claire Weller has the late news for you tonight at 10:30. Back now to Jane at the New Forest show for a final word. And you've enjoyed yourself, the pair of you.
We've had the most fabulous day, thanks, Fred. And before we ride off into the sunset, we're going to leave you with some memories, some lovely memories of today's events at the New Forest show. So, bye-bye.
Repeats or fade, ad-lib and all that sort of thing. I'm Denise Van Outen, this is Richard Orford.
Oh, who are. Welcome to the bigger breakfast.
Indeed, who are. We're in New Forest in Hampshire today, all the way till 12 o'clock.
Yes!
Oh yes, my lovers,
But
indeed.
still to come on this morning's show.
At 8:05.
Spike, that is not the way to stay healthy, I'll have you know. Now, it's not just animals on show here at the New Forest. Oh, no! Because it's also the venue for the European Pole Climbing Championships. And joining me this morning we've got Jeremy Barrow, who's next world champion.
Hi.
Morning, Jeremy.
Hi,
How are
nice
you?
to see you.
And we've got Yannick Gazoo, who's also one of the best pole climbers in the world, I do believe. Good morning, Yannick. Okay, so first of all, how popular is pole climbing?
Well, it's going from strength to strength. It started off in America, but we're in England now, or in Britain. We have 45 climbers here from all over Europe. So,
Really?
yeah, there's a lot of people here today, and they're all looking to win that coveted European title on Thursday.
Brilliant. So will we get to see it in the Olympics eventually, do you
Well,
think?
it started in America, and it's been going over here for 6 or 7 years now. The Americans are the main people on this, and they hope to have it in the Olympics within 3 or 4 years' time. So,
We hope so.
yeah, it'd be
We hope
excellent.
So what are the rules then? What do we need
Basically,
to know?
it's simple and straightforward. You don't need a huge brain to follow this one, so it should be great for the viewers. You start at the bottom, get to the top.
Cheeky to our viewers.
Start at the bottom, and the idea is to get to the top as fast as possible. You time from the bottom to the top, and that's it. Simple
Right,
and
so how
straightforward.
do we do this then? What do we actually do?
Basically, you'll see Yannick's got his equipment on here. He's got a set of spikes there, which are really razor sharp to go into these rock-hard poles. Basically, he pushes himself up with the spikes and uses the strop to keep himself steady as he goes up. So it's pretty simple. It's like climbing stairs, except there's no steps.
Being an ex-world champion, how long would it take you to get to the top?
Well, I've done it in around about 12 seconds. It's 80 feet to the top, so that's pretty fast, but Yannick's fast as well.
How fast is Yannick?
Yeah. Faster.
Faster, much faster. Well, let's see, shall we? Okay, Yannick, are you feeling confident?
Yeah.
Okay, after 3. 1, 2, 3, go!
Go, Yannick. Come on, everyone. Give him some encouragement. Come on, Yannick.
Come on, Yannick.
Look at that Frenchman go. Yannick's doing really well up there now. He's starting to get tired. He's about 60 feet now.
He's almost there.
And he's nearly there now. He's not too far off.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. And he managed that in 15 seconds.
Yeah, and it's
What's the world record?
12, well, it's 12 seconds, the European record
Just
here.
a little bit over,
Oh,
just a
yeah,
little
but
bit
it's
over.
early in the
Okay,
morning,
brilliant.
isn't
Well,
it?
it doesn't look too difficult, I have to say. But can you teach a learner? Could you teach somebody from the beginning?
Yeah, you can. We've got, as you saw, there's a rope attached to a harness. He's got a helmet on and everything, so it's safe. We can, basically, with a little bit of instruction, we can get anybody to be able to climb it. Not quite in 12 seconds, but it takes probably 5 or 6 years to get to that level of skill. Yeah.
But now he's up there now, but
Yeah.
big question is, how did he get down?
Well,
Why are you laughing? Because you don't even know yourself, do you,
no, he
Jeremy?
doesn't know. We're going to leave him there. No, it's a good thing for people that you're not too keen on. You can actually walk away and leave them up there if they're stuck. No, he's...
Well, I wouldn't say we're not keen on him, but we'd like to see him
No.
go up this pole, definitely. We've got Lee from North and South. Lee, come in. Don't take this personally, and of course Tom's here to give you some moral support. So what do you think? Do you think you could get up this quite easily? You feeling confident?
I don't know, yeah, I mean, maybe I might get about quarter way up it.
Come on,
What do we think? Do we think he can do it?
Yeah!
Okay,
Come
well,
on,
let's find
Lee,
out.
you
Let's
can
just
do it.
wait for Yannick to clear the pole.
When Yannick's
There
off,
he
you
is.
just need to get his hat off, and Lee can put his hat on.
Okay, safety is very, very important.
Yeah, that's right.
We
Well
don't
done,
want any
Yannick.
injuries
Well
or
done,
stuff.
give him a round of
Thank you.
applause. Well done, Yannick.
Okay, go on then, Lee. You get ready. But you're glad this isn't you, don't you, Tom?
Right, here's that bit. Okay, Lee, let's just make sure we're
Right.
right on this.
Have you done anything like this before, Lee?
No.
Never.
No, I just thought I'd have a go. I've been
First
a
time for
dangerous
everything.
Right.
And did the other guys nominate you to do this?
No, I nominated myself before I'd been
All
on
right.
it, so, you know what I mean?
Okay. Are we ready? Okay, all set. You ready, Lee?
Go on,
Feeling
Lee.
confident? Okay, after 3. 1, 2, 3, go, Lee!
Come on, Lee! Come on, Lee! Come on, Lee!
Come on, Lee! Fantastic. Well, he doesn't seem to be doing too bad. But he's only quarter of the way up. I think he needs to work on the strength in his arm. Okay, we'll leave Lee to climb up there. What do you think of that, Tom?
Not bad, not
But how's he going to get down? Well, we'll figure that out by the end of the show. Now, if you fancy winning some fantastic electrical equipment, then you can if you play a brand new competition. It's called Skid Marks. Skid Marks! You can win some fantastic prizes if you play that game at 8:20. But to play, you've got to call this number, which is 0891 44 7744. Remember that calls should cost you no more than 25 pence, but if you're under 18, you must ask an adult for permission before you make the call. Okay, and we're going to play that game at 8:20. But still to come on this morning's Bigger Breakfast, we're going to tackle another celebrity emotional crisis in a heart-rending photo story. All my friends are ginger, and I feel left out. You think that's funny, do you, Ben? Okay, but first, stand by now for an even bigger reason to watch Channel 4. Hello there! Welcome back to the Bigger Breakfast.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
really concerned about Lee, you know, going up that pole. I
Just
don't think
leave
he's
him
gonna
there, he'll
get
be all right. Just leave him there for the rest of the morning.
This
No
morning
one
we're coming
knows.
to you live from the New Forest here in Hampshire. And we're going to be here till 12 o'clock.
Yes, indeed. Still to come on this morning's show. You
Thank
can't
you, Phil.
deny it, Philster. You can't deny
Leave
it.
poor Phil alone. You're
I
going to get
know.
the viewers talking.
I know. Sorry about that, Phil. Okay.
He's my lover.
He's her lover as well. Now then, the throb of the engine. Doesn't quite fit the accent, this bit, does it?
No.
The throb of the engine. The roar of the crowd. Put your hands to the wheel and press your pedal. Who am I turning into now?
Old woman.
Okay, press your pedal to the metal. It's time for Skid Marks.
And join me for a flight of fancy at the New Forest Show.
Welcome back. A packed part 2, so do stay with us. Coming up in a few minutes, Sally with all the sport, including a glorious day at glorious Goodwood for thousands of racegoers.
Yes, but first it's off to another event drawing the crowds. The 79th New Forest Show got underway today and thousands were there to enjoy it, including us.
We had a very nice morning there, didn't we?
And a very nice lunch.
Yes.
Among them
Don't
was
tell
our...
them that, for goodness sake, I told them we came straight back.
Yeah, we worked very hard. Among them was Mary Green, and we can cross live to her now at the show for a full report on how the day has gone. Hello, Mary.
Hello there. Yes, it has been a glorious day here at the New Forest Show. They couldn't have asked for better weather. It's quietening down here now, the rings are emptying, the judging is more or less over. But over the course of the 3 days, well over 100,000 people will be visiting. And there's something here for everyone. It's a real mixture of tradition and commercialism. And we sent Penny Sylvester around the show to take a look for us.
At a show this size, the first thing to do is get your bearings and then start to enjoy what's on offer.
To your New Forest show today.
Judging goes on all day and competition is intense. Plenty to see and do.
Generally a good day out. We come every year, been coming for quite a few years.
Never been before, been coming down here for 40 years, never sort of managed to come here before.
One of the most popular attractions is the pole climbing. World record holder Jeremy Barrell is one of 60 men competing for the world title this year. Rural crafts always capture the imagination. Skilled craftsmen at work.
Brings back when I was in the workshop, seeing it as a boy.
Some of the children are here to work. For others, it's playtime.
Being with the animals, they're really cute. Seeing the men climb the trees.
International competitions, shopping galore. There's so much going on. It makes an exhausting day for everyone.
Well, the New Forest Show is one of the South's biggest countryside events, and what makes it so popular is that it gives people the chance to get close to animals and to countryside events in a way that they wouldn't normally be able to. And one of the most popular things here is the birds of prey. Well, Bruce Berry from the New Forest Owl Sanctuary brought a few of your birds. You've got more, but you just brought a few to show us. What have you got here?
That's right, Mary, we've got the little tawny owl there, which is called Rusty, and that's 7 years old, one that we bred at the sanctuary. This is Spitfire, our little kestrel, the female kestrel. Spitfire because it flies very fast.
Yes,
exactly.
so right.
And this is Misty, which is our barn owl, which we use on different programmes, etc., to go to schools and education
So it's well
purposes.
used to people.
Oh yes, yeah.
So what
yeah.
about these two babies we've got here?
Well, these two babies are part of our breeding project, and we're sending those and some other ones over to Sri Lanka to be released into the plantations over there to keep the rats down.
So will they acclimatise there?
Oh yeah, because they're indigenous to that part of the world, so there's no problem as far as that's concerned.
And they won't mind the travelling?
Oh no, they'll be in the cargo hold, pressurised, etc. They're going with another 18, so they'll be spread out all over Sri Lanka. So, you know, it's part of our breeding project to put owls and birds of prey all over the world where they're needed.
Excellent. Well, people love to see them. These are all British birds, aren't they?
They are, yes. Yeah.
Well, I know you do demonstrations, and I think we've got a bird that might fly to us. I need to pick up this
That's
glove,
right.
I think. There's a
That's
crucial
right.
piece of equipment.
Exactly,
But will he
yeah.
fly to me, do you think?
Oh, yes, yeah,
Okay.
hopefully.
Let's
you know
hope
what
so.
they say, don't work with children and animals, but...
Well, here we go. Anyway, we'll give it a try.
What I'm going to do, put a couple of pieces of meat on your hand,
Okay.
like that, okay? Just hold nice and steady.
Okay.
And then Norman over there is going to...
Will he fly to me? Who
Yeah,
am I
he will
expecting
do.
to land on my
Okay,
wrist
let him
here?
go.
Come on then.
Let him go, put him off, Norm.
Off we go. Come on then, buddy.
Come on.
No, he's not in the least bit interested. Bruce, what are you doing to me?
Come on.
He's not hungry. You've fed him. Come on then.
There you
Good
are.
fella. Good boy.
All we've
there
got
you
to do
go.
is just put these...
Just keep him
put
steady.
his hand
Oh,
up a bit. Whoops.
Complaining.
There's another...
Well, I do believe that
another piece of
Carl
food.
Tyler is going to join us a little later on. The last time I saw him, though, he was heading off towards a beer tent.
There you go.
Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Sal. Well, Carl Tyler was here earlier with a friend of his. Haven't seen them for hours. Maybe he's at the New Forest show. Maybe Mary Green can tell us more. Mary.
Well, I have been looking for him, but so far, well, I'm not convinced I know where he is. But I tell you what, there are 2,000 horses who will be taking part in the New Forest show over the 3 days. And one that attracts the most attention, of course, in the show ring are the heavy horses. Well, they took part in a musical drive earlier today. It always attracts the public's attention. They do look so beautifully turned out, a real taste of the past. Well, amongst them in that musical drive, and here with us now is Jim Beck from Burley. He's been celebrating this year 21 years having taken part in the New Forest show. Congratulations, Jim, for your 21st anniversary. And look who I found. I don't know why I find this so unexpected that you're on the back of a beer lorry.
Well, why not?
The place to be.
I'm trying to find out to get into it. I think Sam does not quite touch clean. Sit.
It has been a beautiful day. Is there more of this to come?
Oh, perfect, Mary. It's been an absolutely wonderful day, isn't it? You know, we're looking at beautiful sunshine today. We've had temperatures into the lower 70s, but we've had that lovely, cool northeasterly breeze. Now, the New Forest show runs for another 2 days, and this thing's going to happen. Yes, we're going to have the sunshine tomorrow. We're going to have the sunshine on Thursday. But the winds are going to ease down and the temperatures are going to come up.
Carl, isn't it nice to have such a nice forecast in such a beautiful place? Room up here for a small one?
Yes, if we can get into these barrel barrels, it'll be absolutely wonderful.
You won't be seeing us for a few days. That's it. Thanks very much, Jim. Bye.
Hey!
Nearly off.
Sam, we've got you, my old
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Carl and young Sam. Just a reminder, it's the Meridian Sandcastle Con.
Ladies and gentlemen, this evening is a very special evening in the history of the New Forest show. And we're going to have a very momentous signing here this evening. We thought it was appropriate that we do it, in fact, before the meal. So if I can introduce you to the principal signatories and call them up, can we first of all have our chairman, Mr. Jeff Morgan. And next, on behalf of the Forestry Commission, Mr. Mike Seddon. And finally, our Chief Executive, Mr. Richard Cousins. And I do apologise, I've got it wrong again, there is 4. Mr. Chris Gwynn Evans. And now I will hand over to the chairman, who will go through with the signing.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we actually had the signing, many of you will not know the speed at which we've been through this process, or the devious methods we've used to get this far. I think the start of it all, as you all well know, was the campaign against the caravan site here. And after that, we put into gear a policy that every chance we had, we got to speak to the Forestry Commission. And on 2002, John Berry and Donald Thompson were locked in a police cell on the edge of the showground to discuss the future of New Park. Now that was the first meeting of the two bodies to determine what happened to New Park should the campsite fail. Now from that, of course, the agricultural climate changed, and John and I were in a position where neither of us had enough acres really, and we weren't making any money. So I decided it was time to get out of farming and hand on to the next generation. And I don't know, but John likewise decided that agriculture was no longer for him and surrendered a tenancy which we are signing tonight, which we have renegotiated. Now, in that period, we have had enormous energetic workings from our Chief Executive, Richard, and he and I together have been to the Forestry Commission on a number of occasions for discussions, where we met the recently appointed at that time Mike Seddon, who was Deputy Surveyor of the Forest, and at all times we have been received with decorum up there, and I think that we realised from our first meeting that Mike and Richard and I and Will were like thinking. We went up there with a good plan, we put it to him, we have had numerous meetings since. There has been quite a lot of work done in the background until we got to a point where the legal eagles had to be involved. Richard and I were not in that class, so we handed them to Quiskin Evans and also to John Steele to take it forward and work out a lease with Will and Mike Seddon and their solicitors, which we could all accept. We don't know why, but this was really completed in a very short time. We do thank everybody concerned for the enormous work they put in work hours and out of work hours, until we've come to today's signing. And I think you will all agree that the show now can move forward with a degree of certainty and security. And we are very, very proud to be the ones to take it through that particular hurdle. So now, if we could now commence the signing. John Steele, our solicitor, is going to make sure we don't fall down at the last hurdle. So he is going to take charge of the signing.
On behalf of the Forestry Commission, I'm delighted to have signed this lease this evening. Delighted in more ways than one. Delighted for the Show Society that we've been able to give them a little piece of security here at New Park for the next 49 years. And really hope that goes well for the whole society. I'm also delighted that this unique piece of land here in the centre of the New Forest has a new future, one that the Forestry Commission very much looks forward to working with the Show Society towards. And really aiming for two things in particular, but many more beyond. But the two things that I have in mind are, one of which is a home for local New Forest events, And I think that's a valuable role that New Park's fulfilled for many years and can do in the future. And looking beyond that, a place where new people who come to the forest can raise a greater understanding about the place and what makes it special. So I really hope that it goes well for the society and that some of the objectives that we both signed up to will come to fruition. So thank you.
That's the formal part of this evening over and done with. But before we have a most wonderful meal this evening, there is one last little part. Earlier in the year, somebody bet the chairman and chief exec £10 that the lease would not be signed before the show. And the chairman and chief exec would like that person now to pay their dues. There is his cheque, and he does bank with Barclays, and Barclays will honour it tomorrow. But the chairman and I actually think that the cheque shouldn't come to us. So we're going to ask Chris to nominate a charity that this £10 will go to. Who would you like it to go to?
The New Forest Show Society.
The New Forest Show Society. He paid. Enjoy your meal.
Ladies and gentlemen, while we're in the sort of presentation mode, it might be appropriate to save you getting up again if we make a presentation to our president or presidents with the stirrup of Rufus before their 3 days as president of the show. So could I ask Mary and Robin, our joint presidents, to come forward to the chairman, who will present them with their stirrup of Rufus.
Just before I present these stirrups, I'd just like to say how we appreciate Robin and Mary's enormous efforts over many, many years in conjunction with our show. Mary has been part of the four-in-hand driving event for many, many years, and Robin, as many as you know, ran the centre of our grandstands for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And it's difficult to remember. He's a very efficient man, and you don't tend to remember the ones that do it well, do you? Mary, I'm very proud to present you with your stirrup of Rufus. And Robin?
Thank you very much indeed. Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, this is absolutely amazing up here. Hello and welcome to the summer season of Cookabout with Greg and Max. Today we've come to Hampshire, to one of the biggest agricultural fairs in Britain, and it's held in one of the most beautiful and ancient forests in England, the New Forest.
Local farmers have been bringing their livestock and produce here to the show since 1920, and a little bit later on we're going to be looking at some beautiful sheep and cattle, sampling some Hampshire produce, and also looking at some of those New Forest ponies.
And we're also going to be meeting that army of endeavour, the WI, who are hopefully going to be sharing their secrets with us.
The idea for the New Forest show was conceived in 1921 by the local newspaper, who thought that a rural get-together would be a good thing for the community after the traumas of World War I.
The show is now held over 3 days and the showground spreads over 45 acres with 325 stables for the 2,500 show horses. With 250 dogs, 300 cattle and 400 sheep, the livestock get through 2,000 bales of straw and 250,000 gallons of water.
The show usually expects around 100,000 visitors, and the most popular events are the Shetland Pony Grand National and the Heavy Horse Musical Drive. I wonder what instruments they're playing.
For anybody who's never been, and I would urge you to come.
Oh,
because
yes.
They are so much
Fabulous,
fun.
fabulous.
Tell people, what basically is the show? What will people find here?
They'll find huge variety. I mean, we've been going since 1921. It's actually the 11th largest agricultural show in the country.
Right.
And you get huge variety. Livestock, horse classes, crafts, flowers, blacksmiths, animal farm, trade stands, and so on. It's a super day out.
You have been organising this show for 23 years. The only thing you can't organise is, of course, the weather.
This rain this morning's a nuisance. It doesn't stop the show in any way. A lot of our visitors are regulars. They know what shows are. They come with their boots and their brollies, and a bit of rain doesn't actually worry too much.
It wouldn't be the same without a spot of rain, would it? I mean, it's a summer event then, I think. They really are lovely, aren't they? They're just great, aren't they? Guess my name. What do you think they're called then?
Gavin and George.
Gavin and George.
Gavin and George.
I think maybe, I don't know, Alan and Derek, something like that.
But one thing we do know for sure is the young man in there is called Philip and they're his sheep.
Well, the winner of the first prize of the house.
We find that very often the gentlemen will bring their wives in and say, what's the matter with this? Do you like this? Why can't you make a Swiss roll? You know, and she feels, well, you know, I really should try to do this somehow or other.
Yes.
But
I must introduce you, Pam. This is Pam McKinley
Hello,
here.
hello.
And you are the judge. You are also sort of overseeing the whole tent,
That's
aren't you?
true,
You're in
that's true,
charge
yes.
of everything here.
Well, I muster up support and keep the enthusiasm going. And from the judge point of view, you keep them on the straight and narrow.
Now,
that's the difficult
right.
part.
There's all sorts of sections in here. There's
Yes.
wonderful sections over here where you have a certain number of eggs and you have to
That's
create
right.
a certain amount of
Yes,
food.
sure.
There's the jams, the Swiss rolls. There's these fabulous sections
The
over here.
crafts over
the
here,
crafts.
that's true.
Flower
Flowers in the
arranging.
middle, yes.
I mean, it is so diverse. You were saying about judging.
Yes.
Do you have very, very strict criteria when you're judging?
Yes, you do. And it's mainly because, it's awful to say this, but WI members on a whole are very talented.
Yes.
To be honest, they're very good at most of the things they do. Unless you've got a strict criteria to work to, there is no winner. Everybody's super duper.
Yes. Right.
You've got to get one that's got that little bit of pow, that little bit of something that makes it stand out to be the winner.
When you've got a tray like this,
Yeah.
you do taste everything, do you? Do you have a
Would you
taste?
judge it?
Yes.
Of course. How else can you tell?
But what else? What else are you looking for? Having tasted and think, yes, that's tasty. What else?
You look at the texture, you look at the underneath bit, and you think, is it what it says it is? Is it in fact a Normandy apple flan? You know,
Right.
has it got the sweet apples on the outside? You cut a bit and you taste.
In the next one, I'm particularly impressed by
this is
because
fun,
it looks
isn't
like
it?
you've used the egg shells, having
Yes.
taken the egg out.
Yes, isn't it exciting?
Isn't it good?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Very, very clever.
Excellent. And we've got cheese medallions here, for instance. That obviously has got to have texture. And in this instance, Mrs. Avis did exceptionally well. She got 19 out of 20.
Wow.
Whoa.
The external appearance was absolutely splendid.
I want to have a look at the jams over
Come on,
here, because
yes.
I must say, those jams look just brilliant.
What distinguished that one, Pam, for you?
Well, raspberry jam's a super jam to show because it's lovely colour.
Yes.
Rich, good pips. It just
20 out
looks
of
good.
20.
20 out of 20.
Look at that.
No, yes, she did. There was nothing wrong with it. The container was right. Never, when you're competition, you never hold a jar like this. Hold it up here like this. You see, super label. Look at that
isn't
label.
that smart?
A little bit of
good.
computer work.
Yes.
Good for the WI. A good seal. A new top. It was
Right.
sealed properly.
Yes.
If we look inside, I have to hold the base here. But if you see, it's not filled to full. It's been tasted twice.
Right.
And you
I
see,
must say that
you
the
don't need a
colour and
disc
consistency
there.
there is
Wonderful.
just beautiful as
Yeah,
well, isn't it?
it was saying that it's a good year for raspberries because the sunshine didn't ripen them too quickly,
Right.
and they were a little bit sharp, and that gives you that tang for the raspberry jam, which is good.
Good jam makers.
I must
here.
say, I mean,
course.
not only can you come and look at the excellence here, but you can also buy. There's a little section over here, and some of those cakes there, and all the jams and preserves.
yeah.
I'm going to come away with a plastic bag full. This is the flower arranging section. It says, say it with flowers. This is what you have to do. It's an exhibit on a base. Overall dimensions 12 inches in all directions. Fresh flowers and foliage to be used. Accessories allowed, and all to be viewed from the front. Now, it's simple you'd think, but interestingly enough, they're all like that.
You see, they're all lovely. Of course they are. But where's the height? They're all like little poses. Where's the height and the drama?
We want Ikebana.
We
Give
do.
us Ikebana.
We want glory. I just want to show you, this is how prepared you are when you're doing demonstrations for the WI. Margaret has greased the tray. Look at this bag. It's full.
Little pieces of greaseproof paper with white fat. And when you grease a tin, you should always use white fat or oil.
Yes.
Not yellow fat, because most yellow fats have salt in them. And if there's salt in the fat, then whatever you're cooking is inclined to stick. So if you remember, white fat or oil for greasing. No, I'm not doing gypsy creams. I'm doing cheese biscuits, not gypsy creams.
This is Margaret Walker here, who's going to be making the most wonderful sort of cheesy biscuits here.
Yes.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, you go ahead.
Right, I've got 3 ounces. It is ounces. In the book there is the metric, but I was brought up on ounces, you see.
Can't cope without
three
ounces.
ounces of plain flour, 2 ounces of butter or margarine, a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of mustard, a good old squidge of pepper.
Lovely.
And then you use your fingers.
I mean, they say sort of like you rub in them very lightly and you have to have cool hands
Yes.
and all sorts of things. You don't
use
overdo
the
it.
tips of your fingers.
All right.
Because when we were teaching children, you used to say, put your fingertips on your cheeks and put your palms on your cheeks, and there's a difference in the temperature.
Oh, right.
And if you use your palms, you're melting the fat.
Yes.
And if you use your fingers, you're rubbing the fat in.
Oh, nice.
And so
Okay.
that's the rule for pastry and for anything where you're rubbing. And
Okay.
you rub it till it's like breadcrumbs, and then you put in the cheese, grated cheese. It's
what sort of cheese is
good,
that?
strong cheddar cheese.
Okay.
Lovely.
Don't economise by buying cheap. You want to buy good, strong, and then
real
you get
mature.
a good flavour. Yes. And then you just work it together until you have a good lump.
How long have you been a member of the WI, Margaret?
20 years.
Have you?
Yes. It was all about teaching children from a poor background how to get the best out of economic food. Now, when you've got it like that, you roll it out very thinly and very carefully without using too much flour, or you alter the recipe.
Okay.
Because you're altering the proportions if
That's
you use too
right,
much
yes.
flour. Very, very thin and very light work with the rolling pin.
Okay.
If you use the rolling pin heavily, your biscuits won't be round when you get them out of the oven. They will have stretched into an oval shape.
Okay.
And then a plain cutter, there's a little rule about this. If you have plain things or savoury things, you use a plain cutter. If you have sweet things, you use a frilly cutter. It's one of those conventions, and I always say, because in Victorian kitchens, where Mrs. Beeton ruled, the light wasn't very good, you see, and you went into the larder and you could tell by looking, you know.
Okay.
It may not be true, but, you know, it's a good little story.
Now, Margaret, I'm glad, for once, I'm glad I'm on this side of the counter, because I'm going to ask you,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you one of those questions that people in the WI would short hiss and then take a breath. Why would you suggest that people now make biscuits when they could go and buy them?
Well, I think the main reason is, first of all, if you compare weight for weight, they cost you less.
Right. Yes.
And the main thing is you know what's in them.
Yeah.
And if you don't like something, suppose you like the biscuits, but you don't like the spiciness, you can put another spice in. Of
course.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Or if you don't like drop cookies with currants, then you can put chocolate chips in.
This has always been
or
one of our points, that supermarkets, no matter how hard they try, they cannot cater for all individual tastes.
No.
And as Margaret was saying, if you have a penchant for cheese biscuits with coconut,
why not?
Then you can. Now, Margaret, when you've actually cut the biscuits out here, it's obviously OK to kind of gather up the bits and re-roll them. This is where it becomes important not to keep adding too much flour, though, doesn't it? Because by this stage, it would be very dry if you did.
Right. You're altering the proportions. It's the same with pastry. You have to be, it's being quick and handling and not letting your rolling pin get too messy.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. These biscuits, very often, if they've gone very soft, the mixture's gone very soft, as on a hot day,
sure.
I'd put the mixture in the fridge for a while to harden up and make it easier to cope with.
How long do these take to bake?
10 to 15 minutes.
And what, in a hot oven, or?
Number 4 gas, and I'm afraid I think in terms of gas, but that's 180 or 350. And they keep for quite a while in an airtight tin, and they're really, really super if you sandwich them together with a mixture of butter with Marmite in.
Oh, now you're talking. Now you're talking.
You're just a temptress, Margaret. As if cheese biscuits and Margaret wasn't enough, there is this beautiful display either side of her workstation, and we really thought it was worth taking a look, just because of the difference of the things that are actually in there.
We've got little pieces of lime and lemon, the radishes, we have apricots, little pieces of pepper, but all within the flour display.
So, I mean, it's just wonderful highlights. And very often, I think all too infrequently, people think of putting fruit and vegetables in with flour arrangements. I mean, obviously, you don't want to do it all the time, but they are beautiful.
We're going to be looking at some more of these brilliant exhibits here in the WI tent, so I think this is a good time to take a little bit of a break. Now, everything here is done to absolute excellence, top quality here. There is no bodging, and that is today's question. What is the real meaning of the word bodge? Stick around, we'll tell you right after the break.
Hello and welcome back to the summer series of Cookabout with Greg and Max. Now, just before the break, we were with the ladies of the WI. Only work of the highest order there, no bodged jobs going on. No. We asked you if you knew the origin of the word bodger. Well, actually, it's Cockney slang and it means an outworker or a jobber. Although today it's likely to mean a wood turner who makes things like chair legs.
And this man here, Dick, is actually using one of the oldest methods of turning wood. And it's recorded by Roman historian Pliny that this method of turning wood was invented in about 740 BC. And yet this method is still used in parts of Asia. Dick, what are you making there?
An umpire's fiddling stick.
Oh, what? It's brilliant.
I thought people just used to have, like, penny coins, but if you're a smart umpire, you'd have that. Dick, it's absolutely amazing. We'll let you get on. You're building up quite a crowd here.
I tell you.
OK, thank you.
These old crafts just don't die out.
I'm Alan Brown from Wool in Dorset. I'm a hurdle maker. I've been making hurdles for a good many years now. We make them from hazel.
I think we can take these down because,
I think so.
Phew, what a scorcher.
Wonderful English summer, isn't it? Well, what's in the hamper
today?
Lunchtime, I love it. These are in the hamper. I thought it was going to be a young woman doing the Charleston, but no, this is a flapper. Now, this is a local baker that has decided that there's pastry and there's all sorts of currants and sugar and all sorts in there, and it's like a great big biscuit. I think it's almost like a cross between lardy cake and an Eccles cake.
I was going to say,
it's delicious.
I would think of that as being a kind of flattened out Eccles cake, but it's got the cinnamon, it's very flavourful, it's really delicious. I would imagine quite easy to make for yourself.
This is a rosé wine, and it really sounds delicious. I haven't tasted this yet, but I am going to. It says it is from south-facing slopes here in Hampshire, and it is intense raspberry, strawberry, and red currant flavours in there. Can you imagine?
It is an absolutely gorgeous colour.
That
By the way,
sounds nice.
sometimes comes as a surprise to people that we do actually make wine in this country, and it is thought that we've possibly been doing that since Roman days. And in fact, the name Winchester might actually come from Winechester.
Winechester.
Okay. Now, the same people make this beautiful fumé, a dry wine, and in fact this is the house white at the House of Commons. Our own Prime Minister has been known to quaff on it a little bit.
Now, this is a wonderful combination of dark chocolate and flaked toasted almonds. That is all mine. I will fight you for this, because that looks just gorgeous.
I think there's some arm wrestling coming up later.
Definitely.
Now, another thing that's actually very popular in Hampshire, and I have to say I didn't know this, is watercress. In fact, there's a lot of free-flowing and beautiful clear water, perfect setting for growing watercress, also for trout as well. So, trout with a watercress sauce, or in this instance, watercress soup. All right, and I think this is one of those things that you can eat hot or cold, equally delicious. Watercress soup from Hampshire.
No added sugar, no added fat, no eggs or dairy products. Look at that, can you see that? Look at that. It's actually called Amazing Cake.
This is beautiful. This is a prize old ale. Quite a strong ale, little touch of sweetness, cork in the top, which is rather nice.
Too many strawberries jam. Is that the best title or what?
Great. You just know it's going to be rich with fruit. And the nice thing about them is that they scour only the local area for the things that they make. So, for example, if they have a strawberry jam, they haven't gone to different parts of the country or imported strawberries. They are strawberries from Hampshire. Or in this instance, we've got pumpkin chutney. Now, it may come as a surprise to you, but yes, you can get pumpkins in this country, and these come from the north part of the region. Pumpkin chutney.
And I must say, I mean, you always think about pumpkin pie as being particularly American. We gave it to their
Yes, and this is a wonderful, delicious honey with that hint of lavender, which is yummy.
And I must say, the flora and the fauna also affect the bath oil as well, because some good old farmer here in Hampshire decided he didn't want cattle or anything on his land. He was going to grow lavender, which I think is a fantastic idea. Always associated with the south of France and what have you.
Sure.
But there are lavender fields here in Hampshire, and this is one of his products. And I love the idea of this. This is a foam bath. Do you know that? The smell of that. You smell that? Can you smell that?
I just love lavender.
That is fabulous.
Beautiful.
Can you imagine just lying back there, you're quaffing your wine there, you're eating your amazing cake, you've got all your lovely lavender bath oils all around you.
We've got it completely covered, haven't we? Because we can eat, we can drink, and if he gets messy, I can hose him down.
Sausages, I mean, they were actually brought over by the Romans, and believe me, any region you go to seems to have their own variation. There's one that I particularly want to try. This is called Old Thumper, and this is a pork sausage. Oh, that is wonderful. With real ale in there, just delicious. David, you're an absolute genius. I'll have a couple of pounds of those. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. French vanilla double chocolate.
Oh,
look, those
that's one.
Oh dear, what else? Oh, look at that. Now, we like to bring you sort of new and innovative foods and drinks on our shows. But this...
We've just discovered these coffees with more than a hint of flavouring in. For example, this one is tiramisu coffee.
I have in my hand creme brulee coffee and banoffee pie coffee. Whatever next. Now, this is a local ice cream company, and there's a lovely story attached to how it all started. The family used to run a post office, and because it was sort of like out of the way, when the big company, the ice cream companies, used to deliver, very often the ice cream would be all mashed up and half melted. So they decided to make it for themselves.
There's nothing better, is there? If you have a problem in a supply, think, we'll do away with them, we can do as good a job. And in fact, they've been going on ever since. It proves to be extremely popular. And the nice thing about it is, of course, they keep on trying to introduce lots and lots of different flavours. Obviously, the popular ones stay there. If they're not so popular, keep on trying lots of different things.
You see, you could start. You've got your little ice cream maker.
It'd be a slow process, but I could do it.
The Muswell Hill Ice Cream Company.
But for the moment, maybe we'll try some of this.
I'll have the dairy vanilla with black currant, please. Thank you, that's lovely.
Winning the Golden Gorse Cup.
So what have we learned today, then?
Well, one of the things is we have learned how to shear a sheep, and remember, you have to put your fingers over their teats to avoid nasty accidents.
Always be sure you do that when you're next shearing. Also, we found out from the ladies at WI, when you're baking, be sure to use white fat to grease tins and trays rather than yellow fat, because yellow fat contains salt, and it's the salt that makes things stick.
Oh, wow. We've learned that if you bodge a job, don't worry, it's not necessarily a bad thing, as Dick showed us.
And ladies who are viewing and of any age, remember that WI is a hive of activity, and I, for one, am particularly jealous that I can't join. Why don't you go and check them out? I have a suspicion you'd be amazed.
Yeah, very surprised. And remember, of course, you must never look a gift horse in the mouth. See you next time. Whoa, whoa. They are absolutely huge, Max. Good grief. Yeah, you just keep on going, Jim. That's